All right, we can go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone so much for joining us for this Ask Admission webinar. We are joined by three of our incredible master's programs. So we are going to go over just very generally the application process, what to expect, the different required materials, and then I'll be handing it off to the different programs joining us today to really talk through the program specifics. So any questions that you might have, they're going to be a really great resource for you during the session today for the next hour or so. So that being said, I'll quickly just introduce myself. My name is Abby Cockstein. I'm the Associate Director of Graduate Admissions. Again, welcome. We can go ahead and get started. So a little bit of just some housekeeping before we get into things too much. We are recording this webinar. You probably have seen that pop up. So don't worry too much about missing anything during this session. We are going to be putting it up on our YouTube channel in the next couple of days. So you can always revisit as needed. And on our YouTube channel, if you're already there, we have a number of other webinars and events you can take a look at if you're exploring other programs as well through Penn Engineering. During this session, if you do have questions, we're going to have time for Q&A at the very end, but you can go ahead and start putting questions in as they come to you in that Q&A section at the Zoom bar at the bottom of your screen. You don't have to wait to the end. I will have some of my team in the Q&A throughout this session answering any questions that you have. So please feel free to put those in as they come to you. And then, like I said, at the very end, we will be doing a Q&A with some questions that you've submitted throughout the session. So a really quick glimpse at what we offer at Penn Engineering. So we do have a number of master's programs. Hopefully by now you've seen some of them and become somewhat familiar with some of our program offerings. But today we are joined by three of our awesome programs: Bioengineering, Biotechnology, and Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering. So as I said, we're going to be passing the mic over to those programs to give us a little bit more of an insight into what the programs offer. Before we do that, I do just want to really briefly go through application requirements and what to expect if you've recently started an application or are planning to start an application. So there is an online application. Everything we do is entirely online at this point. So everything you submit has to be submitted through the application itself, through the application system. So the parts of that are the resume. There's a personal statement with prompts. There's 6 prompts, and you are expected to answer all of those prompts. We require at least 2 letters of recommendation, but we have space for 3. So you may use a 3rd letter if you feel it will strengthen your application, although it's not a requirement. We do require any transcripts from any school that you have attended in the past. So any undergraduate school you have attended, we need transcripts from those schools. They can be unofficial. So if you are an international student or have studied outside of the United States, these transcripts can be unofficial when you send them in the application system. Please note they do have to be in English. They do have to have a grading scale. We have a lot of information on our website about transcripts if you have any questions about that, but my team can also answer any of those if needed. And then English proficiency scores are only required for some students. So I'll go into that in the next slide in just a minute, a little bit more in detail, because I know we get a lot of questions about that. And then an application fee is also required. So the application fee is $90, and that is required, and it is not waived for attending our events. We also accept GRE scores. You do not have to send them. Again, if it's something you think will strengthen your application, you can absolutely send your scores. Please note that they do have to be official and valid, meaning they have to come to us directly from ETS, the testing center, and they have to come to score code 2888. And in order to be valid, they have to have been taken within the past 5 years. So just to dig in a little bit more, because we do get a lot of questions about English proficiency scores and waivers. So any applicants that are non-US citizens and whose first language is not English do have to submit English proficiency scores. We accept the TOEFL, the IELTS, and the Duolingo tests, and we don't have a preference. It is entirely up to you. Whatever is more accessible for you, whatever is easier for you to take, we want you to choose that test. I also offer the suggested scores to aim for based on the student success of students in our programs. So those are not hard cutoffs, but definitely a number to keep in mind. And for many of you, we will actually be waiving this requirement. So after you submit your application, we look through your application to see if you meet the waiver criteria. So it is manual and it does take a couple days, so please be patient with us. But if you meet any of the below criteria, so you're from a program in the United States, from a school in a country where English is the official language, or where the medium of instruction is English, then that requirement will be waived for you. And probably one of the most important pieces of information is the deadline. We have a final deadline for all of our master's programs, which is February 1st. And if you submit by February 1st, it's expected your application is submitted and complete, meaning letters of recommendation are in. If you've submitted test scores, we've received those. So we do expect you to have submitted and completed your application by February 1st. And if you've done that, you can expect your decision to be released to you by early April. All right, now I'm going to pass it over to our chemical and biomolecular engineering program.
Good morning. My name is Ashley Culver. I am the graduate coordinator for the Department of Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering. I work with master students, and I'm very happy to speak with you today. Um, I do believe I have a slideshow. Is that uploaded? Perfect, thank you. I'll just say next slide when I'm ready. So this is our department structure. Our department chair is Chinam Asuji. Our graduate group chair, who works very closely with our master students, is Dr. John Crocker. And our graduate group chair just changed actually and is no longer Dr. Dayan Lee. It's actually Dr. Sherry Gao, who works with us. And next slide, please. We have 20 primary faculty members, 9 secondary, and many postdoctoral trainees. So our graduate group overview, we have currently around 97 PhD students. We have 48 master students as of the time of this slideshow update, and 25 research active faculty. Our pledge to our students is that we treat our students with respect. We keep a very close eye on their needs for well-being, education, advanced training, and we have many opportunities for career placement and work very closely with students on that. Our core philosophy is that happy and productive students are a win. And I would say that one of the great strengths of the chemical engineering department is that we have excellent faculty mentoring and a lot of engagement with both our faculty students and our PhD students. Many students often find a lot of connections within our department. So the breakdown of our program is it's about 30-70. Domestic students versus international students. We are a 2-year program and we advise based on, are you looking at going into industry or are you looking on going on to PhD? And it's okay if you don't know. We can help you work through that during your time with us. We offer options for master's thesis, independent study, and there are many curricular practical training opportunities that are available. There's advanced research training and professional mentoring available. And we have a robust alumni network as well that you can plug into. So when it comes down to the classes that you'll be taking, we have our three core courses, which are broken up over your first year, as well as an engineering math. I say your first semester should be two core in math, but our math department has recently started offering this math course in the spring semester as well. So you do have a lot of options on how you tailor your first year with us between breaking up your core courses, choosing electives, because I know a lot of people who are looking at going into industry are looking at their elective courses to see what will make them more attractive to potential employers. So you do have a lot of opportunities to tailor your curriculum to your future. So this is just a breakdown of our core curriculum and how to structure the program. It's a lot of information. It's also available on our website. So I will allow a moment for you to kind of glance over these requirements. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding this. Um, can I have the next slide, please? So these are some of our technical electives that are available for students to take. There are also a wide variety of classes available in the engineering school and across the university as well. As you're only required to take two CBE electives as part of the master's program, um, you really do have your pick of courses on how you'd like to tailor. Some students take all CBE courses as they work through their master's degree. Some take two and then looked at other programs to really flesh out what their degree will look like. So you do have so many opportunities to really tailor this degree to the future that you are working towards. These are our primary faculty, all very friendly people who love to engage with students, love their work, and love to explain the concepts and material to everyone. And then we also have a lot of secondary faculty, people who work within CBE, but their primary department is not CBE. And then our department history, for those history buffs who are interested in knowing how chemical engineering came to be within the University of Pennsylvania. Just a quick overview. Next slide, please. Thank you. As well as um, being in the School of Engineering, you do also have access to multi-use facilities. So if any of these things look interesting to you, you can look them up and see what opportunities are there. Next slide, please. And that's it for me. I look forward to any questions that you may have in the Q&A.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Ashley. Now I'm going to pass it over to the biotechnology program.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ishani Agrawal. I am the program coordinator for the Masters of Biotechnology. I'm here representing our program director, Dr. Bomi Lim, who you may have seen on one of the CBE slides as well. We are a program that is housed as part of the Department of CBE, but we do operate with our own curriculum and our own ways of being within the school. So I'm really looking forward to chatting with you about what that looks like. Next slide, please. So we consider the Master's in Biotechnology a very interdisciplinary and flexible degree. It's primarily for students with a biology and engineering background, and we're looking for people who have undergraduate training in biology, math, and engineering. That being said, again, our program is very flexible. So once you have that background, you can come in and explore a lot of different areas based on what you're interested in. We do have four core courses four core requirements is really how I should put it for our degree. So that means taking 3 courses in what we consider biotechnology and then 1 lab course. This lab course can be waived if you have prior experience in an undergraduate wet lab or working in a lab. And a lot of our students do end up waiving it. If you waive the class, you end up taking something else in the School of Engineering. So again, that's another opportunity for you to take something that you're interested in. After that, we have 6 elective courses, which are dependent on which track a student chooses. We have the molecular biology track and then the biopharmaceutical engineering technology track. And I will talk about that a little bit further on. And we'll take a closer look at what some of those elective courses might be as well. One thing to note is that the molecular biology track does require 2 CU of independent study or research. So if you're someone who is really interested in research and perhaps a PhD, a lot of times those students do end up on the molecular biology track. However, if you're on the other track and you're interested in trying out research, that is completely allowed as well and encouraged. We do have a list of possible courses on our website, which is biotech.cs.upenn.edu, and I really do recommend taking a look at that. It is very comprehensive and it is a lot of courses, and that's why I wasn't able to put it all here in this presentation today, but that will give you an idea of all the different things you can do here. Generally, our students take 3 to 4 semesters to complete the degree, so there are students who are able to do it in a year and a half. Next slide, please. So again, there are 2 tracks in biotechnology. We do recommend that you declare that as you're coming in, but there's some flexibility to change your mind in the degree as well, especially if you start with core courses. In the molecular biology track, you're going to have those 2 research courses, which are independent study. This means that you will go out and find a PI who you're interested in working with and build a project with them. You will then work on that project for the course of the semester for 1 CU or credit unit. And then you can do that up to 3 times, or you can do 2 in a semester and then a 3rd in another semester as well. We also ask you to do 3 advanced biology courses. And how we define this is courses that have to do with drug development, cell and gene therapy, and genetic analysis, and other things in those areas. And then we have 1 free elective, which is any graduate level class at Penn, pending that you are also following our online course policy. So again, this is something that students can really follow their interests. You know, we have students who maybe are interested in doing something with Spanish because they have an interest in working with Spanish-speaking populations. Sometimes students will end up in something in the arts and sciences, like neurobiology. In the other track, we have the same thing. We do have that free elective available. We also have 2 quantitative courses required. So this usually looks like statistics, modeling, data science, something like that. And then 3 advanced elective courses, which fall under similar to our advanced biology courses, drug development, translational medicine, etc. Next slide, please. We have a lot of students, as I mentioned, who are really interested in working in a lab and doing research. And we, again, strongly encourage that for our students. Students can work in a variety of research labs that are doing relevant research. So think about the School of Engineering, but also the medical school, the Wistar Institute, the Children's Hospital of Pennsylvania. And again, you'll get that course credit for working in a lab if you choose to go in that direction. 1 course unit comes out to 10 hours of work per week. International students may also do this independent study, and they may work in an off-campus placement as well. So that's a question that often comes up. You may end up needing something called CPT, which is curricular practical training. However, this is a pretty easy form to get filled out and work with us to get taken care of. You'd also work with the International Student Services office. And we have plenty of students who have been able to do off-campus placement as an international student. That being said, we also have a lot of great placements that are on campus, and many of our students do choose to do that as well. Next slide, please. We do not have an official co-op option. However, a lot of our students have done some long-term internships as well. And some of the ways that they do this is doing the CPT and AFS, which is an academic field study. So usually you do it in your first semester and then you continue that into your fall. It is a wonderful opportunity. A lot of our students, again, have done it. And because of some of that course flexibility that we have, they're able to have a lighter fall semester for that academic field study and then still finish the degree in the 2 years that they need to finish it in. We really recommend that if you're interested in doing internships, that you reach out to career services as well. They have a lot of wonderful resources and have connected our students really well to different opportunities that are available. Next slide, please. And of course, it's natural to wonder, where do students go after they graduate our program? Well, our graduates do very well in the biotechnology industry, and you can see some of these amazing companies that students have found placements in. We also have a lot of students who end up at wonderful PhD programs, including at UPenn, but some of these other schools also. And many of them have gone on to have very strong research lives. Again, the Career Services group does have a postgraduate outcome survey as well that you can certainly check out. Next slide. Yes, and that concludes my presentation. I did also just want to put our email address into the chat. So if you do have further questions after this presentation, you can always reach out to us as well. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks so much, Ishani. That was great. Now I'm going to pass it along to our folks at Bioengineering. Take it away.
Sure. You guys hear me okay? Great.
Yep, sounds great.
Could we move to the next slide, please? Okay, and the next slide. So this is the outline of what we'll be talking about today. If we can move on to the next slide. So this is me. My name is Lucas Bugaj. I'm an assistant professor at Penn Bioengineering, and I'm also one of the faculty co-directors for the Masters in Bioengineering program. Our other co-director is Alex Hughes, who is currently on paternity leave, but we run this program together as the faculty directors. And if we go to the next slide, we will have two additional very important people. Erin Reeve-Fredericks is the coordinator for our program, who is also on this call, and Neil Cohen is the director of the overall graduate group, which includes the master's students, but also our PhD students. So if we could go to the next slide. Right, so our program is unique in that it's extremely broad across campus. So in general, the graduate group encompasses many different departments, one of which is bioengineering. Well, on the next slide, we'll show several different ones, but this breadth allows us to really have a breadth of course offerings and also research topics across the university. So if you look at this kind of target here on the right side, the bioengineering department really is about 20 core faculty and then a handful of additional secondary faculty. But within the graduate group, we have over 200 additional faculty that our students have access to. So on the left here, you see that this graduate group encompasses 5 different entire schools at Penn, which is the engineering school, but also the dental school, arts and sciences, the veterinary school, and the School of Medicine, all of which have certainly faculty that do research and also, in many cases, courses that our students can take as well. And these are, won't read them all off, but all of the various departments that are covered in all of these different schools that have faculty that are part of our expansive graduate group. If we could go to the next slide. Right, so one of the, just to say a couple words about our curriculum, I think in a word, if you could sum it up, it's flexibility. So bioengineering is a very broad field, and so we do not have a core curriculum, but rather we allow the students that come in to craft their curriculum based on their interests and needs and goals. And so we provide a framework for this, but are otherwise, and a list of courses to choose from, but otherwise we're not prescriptive of what students need to take. If we could go to the next slide. In general, the framework is kind of simple and here is as described. 10 credit units, 1 math, 1 biological sciences, 8, 2 in bioengineering graduate courses, and then 3 Cs or biological sciences electives, and then a general elective that from any science or engineering discipline. Okay, if we can go to the next slide. One of the real strengths of our program is its ability to do research. And so we have two different tracks. One is the thesis research track, and the other is a non-research track. So in a thesis research track, this is particularly, not exclusively, but it's very attractive for students who want to then pursue a PhD. So students can find a lab across, the 300 or so, 200 to 300 members of our graduate group across the university and embed themselves and undertake a research project for for the amount of time that they are here. And this culminates in the research can be counted as credit for 2 of your credit units. And it culminates in a thesis that is written and then approved and then published as a thesis that's then held in the library and published online. But if you are not interested in research, there's the non-research option, the non-thesis option, where rather than doing the thesis research credits, you can just choose 2 additional engineering electives. Okay, and we also have another option that's worth noting is the independent study option. If you find that you really want to study or learn something that is not offered in our extensive course catalog, then you're able to actually design your own course that has to be approved. You sort of write your own syllabus and sort of explain why you can't find this content in a course that exists. And then you can actually really choose your own course of study under the guidance of a faculty mentor who will have also approved that syllabus. So it's kind of a unique aspect to really tailor the education to what you need. If we can go to the next slide. So we also, because of the sort of extensive list of courses, we label these also, or we group them into concentrations. You are not required to take a concentration, but it does help you get a little, sort of organize your education among focused tracks. Those are listed online, but they're also listed here. You can see, again, really reflecting the breadth of what it means to be a bioengineer. This is coursework in data science, in biomedical devices, in molecular cellular tissue engineering, imaging, systems and synthetic biology, neuroengineering, biomechanics, drug delivery and therapeutics, and also immune engineering. We have many resources that I won't get into too much, but for kind of maybe some of the more notable ones here are we have a very robust graduate group sort of student community. So we have various student organizations on the sort of graduate student level at sort of university-wide at Penn, but also within the engineering school, which is GSAG, and then we have organization just for bioengineering graduate students, which encompasses master's and PhD, but also master's has its own sort of student government organization in MAB. So of course, you're welcome to partake in any or all of these organizations as a student here. And the next slide I'll just put some of the context for both myself and for Dr. Hughes, who are the directors of our program, the faculty directors, Aaron Reeve-Fredericks, who is the coordinator, and then Neil Cohen, who's the graduate group director. And I'll finish with a slide on, again, this idea of breadth of who we are as bioengineers. We have students coming in from many, many different types of disciplines, from the physical sciences to the biological sciences, chemistry, finance, psychology, all types of engineering. So, and there are, I think, probably some that we have missed here. So this is, I think, a strength of who we are, and we have a lot of different backgrounds and disciplines and mindsets coming in, and I think that makes sort of bioengineering unique, and again is the strength of what it means to be a bioengineer and the strength of our department. And I think that is it. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lucas. That was so informative. Before we jump into Q&A, we have plenty of time to answer a whole bunch of questions. I do just want to also plug some other resources for just admission questions, general questions, ways to connect with us. So we do on our website have an FAQ page. I've seen a couple questions come in regarding the application that we have a lot of information on the FAQ page about general application questions, so definitely check that out. We also have a slew of upcoming additional webinars, different events coming up. So If you're still unsure about what program you want to apply to or want to still just gather more information, please feel free. We always love to see folks at multiple and different events. So check our website for that. And then we also have our email at the bottom of this slide as well. So if you have any general application questions, or if you want to just start asking us and we can send you to the right person to answer any of your questions, we're always happy to do that. So please feel free. I know I have some questions lined up for the Q&A, but please feel free to put more questions in the Q&A as we go. And otherwise, I will just get started. So because bioengineering went last, I'm going to start with a question for them. So one question we got is, does Penn allow for co-ops or internships for the bioengineering students?
We do not have co-ops. No, we do not. Or internships.
Perfect. Thanks, Erin. And does anybody complete the bioengineering program in a part-time manner?
Yes, they can. Domestic students can. However, if you are an international student, you must maintain full-time status.
Perfect. Thanks, Erin. That's definitely true of all of our master's programs in general as well. And my next question is for CBE. So Ashley, I know you answered this question in the virtual Q&A, but I want to also just make sure that we answer it live because I think it's a great question. Could you talk about how flexible is the curriculum in taking classes across disciplines? For example, taking classes in bioengineering and computer science. Are there any limitations students should be aware of?
So it is very extremely flexible. Quite a few of our quite a few of our courses are cross-listed with bioengineering. So it depends on which section you take. But with the 4 free electives, one of the really only one of the limitations is, can you successfully register for the course? A lot of courses are in different programs have a certain number of seats for students in that program, but a lot of instructors also allow room for students across the school and across the university to join as long as they meet the prerequisites. So one of the main things is just, it's a little bit technical. You would just go in and request permission for the course. And a lot of times it's just reaching out to the instructor or the coordinator, managing those permissions and just making sure that you're getting in. It's pretty easy to register for a course and just do a little follow-up work. And a lot of students are able to take courses in CIS. A lot of students are able to take courses in bioengineering and different programs.
Thank you, Ashley. And we got a question around biotechnology. Someone is wondering what makes someone a really strong candidate when applying to biotechnology.
We also have a variety of different backgrounds that are coming into our degree, and we look at admissions very holistically. So I would say that the main things that applicants should be thinking about are making sure that you do have some math background and some biology and chemistry background. But again, that being said, because we do look so holistically, if you are a little bit lacking in one of those areas, I still really do encourage you to apply and maybe talk about that in your personal statement because we are really building a cohort of people with different experiences.
Great. Another question for bioengineering. What is the process of choosing a thesis or a non-thesis track? Is there anything administratively that needs to be done to do that?
Yes, to choose a thesis, you have to find a mentor and then you have to put together a proposal, which you then submit to the directors and they approve.
Right. Great. Thank you, Erin. And while we have you, another bioengineering question is, if someone's interested in a specific concentration for bioengineering, how many classes of that specific concentration are required to declare said concentration?
You need 4 courses, 2 must be BE courses, and a concentration is not required. So students don't have to choose a concentration. It's entirely up to them.
And sorry, one more for you, Erin. So some universities offer a design subtrack within their thesis track for students who are interested in developing their own products or devices, as opposed to maybe more traditional research. Is that something that is available to students at Penn's bioengineering program?
I would have to ask Lucas that. Lucas, do you know? I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it sounds like something that could fit into like an independent study or a research project within, as long as there's an advisor that would help oversee that, then that could be fit into one of those categories. But we don't have like a special course just focused on that.
Perfect. And I know that we talked about both bioengineering and the biotechnology talked about undergraduate backgrounds that are some of the more common, although there's a wide variety. So I'm wondering if CBE, you could talk about if there are any undergrad backgrounds that are going to be best suited for folks who are interested in going into the CBE program.
I'm sorry, what was that question again?
Yeah, of course. Are there any undergraduate degrees that kind of really strengthen an applicant to apply to the CBE program?
Yes, so the degree itself is not as quite as important as having a strong foundation in math, a strong foundation in some of the concepts that you'll be exploring in chemical engineering. So we do have students who come from chemistry. We have students who come from more of undergraduate in basic type engineering concepts. We have students who come from bioengineering undergrad. We have students who come from chemical engineering undergrad, and chemistry are some of the big brackets of students who apply to this program. But as long as you have strong concepts and understandings in a lot of the prerequisites, our admissions team does review holistically as well and considers a lot of the factors to see if you would be successful in chemical and biomolecular engineering.
Great. Awesome. Thank you, Ashley. And we have a question that I'm shocked doesn't come up, at least for me, more often. But what factors would guide an applicant's decision to pursue either CBE versus bioengineering?
Erin, do you want to start with this one?
Can you repeat that question, please?
Yeah, of course. What factors would guide an applicant's decision to pursue CBE versus bioengineering?
I don't know. Lucas?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's looking through the descriptions and requirements of the different programs. I think there probably will be a lot of overlap in terms of the courses that you're able to take. But it seems like the CBE curriculum may be a little bit more predetermined. So if that is if you'd rather have more flexibility, maybe it's bioengineering, or if you're maybe you have your eyes on industry that is more in line with kind of more traditional what's being offered in chemical molecular engineering, then you would go towards that department. Not all CBE faculty are in the BE graduate group, so if you did want to do research with a CBE faculty, then you certainly would want to apply to that program because you wouldn't be able to do research with them in our program. So while there is overlap and a lot of CBE and BE students take the same courses, depending on your specific goals, whether it's the industry you want to go to afterwards or the research that you'd like to do now or in the future, you might choose one program versus the other. But otherwise, I think that in terms of, also in terms of, I think, admissions criteria and standards, they're quite similar. So it's really just the content of what's within the programs that I would look at.
I agree with Lucas's what he said about this. I think that it's more of a personal decision for the student of where they want their journey to take them and how they'd like to structure their time at Penn, as when they decide to apply to either chemical engineering or bioengineering, if there is a lot of overlap. So it's a very personal decision.
Thank you. And in that same vein, I just want to emphasize that all of our programs have a really extensive web pages that kind of go through the curriculum, the goals of students and applicants, where students end up. So if you are kind of still questioning what route you might want to take, those are really great resources to look at online. To just get a little bit of more information about how you see yourself in any of our programs. Another question that I'm going to kind of open up to all of the programs. How does advising for students work when they're in the program? And is advising done with faculty or is it more administrative advising?
Yeah, I can start us off on that. So in the MBIOT program, everyone is assigned to Dr. Lim as their faculty advisor, and we absolutely encourage you to talk to her about questions related to research, career paths, courses that would make sense for you to take. And then you also can come to me to talk about administrative and policy related things. So we kind of encourage students to toggle between us. And then we also, of course, encourage students to talk to their PIs. Since so many of our students are doing research, sometimes their PIs can also be good resources for thinking about future plans as well as what they need to bolster their time in the program. That being said, we do kind of encourage our students to take a lot of ownership over how they want to build this curriculum. And so we really do suggest that students spend time reaching out to professors, looking at syllabi, and tailoring the program in the way that makes sense to them, because they are at this level of professionalization that they can kind of speak for their own needs as well.
For BE, Dr. Bugaj and Dr. Hughes can help with any questions. They're really good at helping with career and talking about thesis. For anything else, it's me. I advise students and I encourage my students to come to me at any time. I'm always here for them to answer any questions that they have.
This is very similar for the chemical engineering program. I handle a lot of the day-to-day advising regarding policy and questions related to administrative and just well-being for students. I have kind of an open door policy. You can come by my office and we'll meet and chat. And then for more specific questions related to courses and outcomes, a lot of students will get advising from our graduate group chair or from their PI if they're doing research under a PI.
And if a student is interested in additional electives outside of what is already an opportunity given the curriculum, are students able to either petition, or is there any way they can do additional electives outside of the required curriculum? I'm opening that to anybody if anyone has an answer.
Yeah, so generally our students don't end up needing to petition out of the core curriculum classes just because we don't have that many. Even our 3 biotech courses are generally very open. A lot of students will just waive that lab and get another opportunity to take a different engineering course. But we do have a process for those petitions. If it's something that a student ends up needing to do, they will take a look at what the course is and then fill out a Google form in which they explain why they feel that the course should be used towards the requirement that they're hoping to use it for. The one thing is that if you're in the research track, which is the molecular track, you can't petition out of doing the research. In that case, we would discuss probably you just switching tracks. But generally, again, our program is so flexible, as you'll see on our program website, that students don't end up having to do a lot of petitioning.
I'll say we don't get many petitions for core courses. regarding substitutions in chemical engineering. One of the few instances I've seen of this is that a student is coming in with classes that they've taken in an approved accelerated master's program. Maybe they didn't finish the program and they decided to switch to a different university, or they've already covered the material in a very similar class in their undergraduate and it was cross-listed. And then maybe we can transfer a class if it was an approved accelerated master's program, or we can start the conversation with our graduate group chair regarding what course they should take to improve on their knowledge because they already have a good, strong base in that subject.
And we have a general elective that's part of our curriculum that students can choose any graduate course at the university, and that can count towards that general elective. I've had students take a Wharton course or take a language course even. So we allow the 1 credit to do that. Otherwise, they have to stick with the C's courses.
Awesome. Thank you. And for students who are interested in getting involved in research at Penn, do there tend to be lab positions available for master's students? Again, for anybody who has an answer.
We maintain a list of labs that MBIOT students have worked in previously. I think it's updated for like the last 3 years. So it's, it's pretty recent, these labs. And so students are highly encouraged to reach out to those PIs, but we also suggest that if you're interested in another lab, certainly reach out to that lab. I've rarely had situations in which students cannot find a lab position. And especially if you're doing the independent study, I think a lot of PIs are really happy to help with something that is related to coursework. If the question is about paid positions, that is not something that we necessarily facilitate, but a lot of our students do end up with paid research positions on campus as well.
In chemical engineering, every fall for the first month and a half of the semester, our faculty present half an hour's worth of their current research that they're working on to our first year PhDs. And we invite all of our master students to attend these presentations to, 1, meet the faculty, 2, meet other members of their cohort, and 3, to familiarize themselves with the research that is happening in our department. And a lot of students will then later follow up with these faculty and use this as a springboard to find positions. So it's a great opportunity for master students to learn about the research that's happening, get some face-to-face time with faculty, and kind of figure out if I want to do an independent study, or if I want to work in a lab, or I want to pursue a master's thesis track, who should I work with and what research is interesting to me. So we do have that opportunity for master's students.
And
go ahead, Erin.
I was just going to say that we have a large grad group, and so we encourage our students to look at the grad group and any research they're interested in to reach out to faculty in that grad group.
Yep, yeah, I was basically going to say the same thing. It's a little more ad hoc, but also it's one of the benefits of this gigantic graduate group is that there are so many labs and so many potential positions that our students do not have trouble finding those positions.
Perfect. That's great. I know that is a question we get quite a lot of every year. So that's wonderful to know. All right, we've gone through pretty much all of the questions that have come in the Q&A. So folks, if you have any remaining questions, please ask them in the next couple minutes, because I want to make sure that we are asking all of the questions that we need to for these programs. Let me just see what else has come in.
Hi, Abby. I see a question for
great,
chemical
go ahead.
engineering. I'd love to answer. The question is, can other engineering master students be part of chemical engineering labs? Yes. Yes, absolutely. That's a conversation that you can have with the PI of that lab. You can speak to PhD students in that lab. You can speak to the other master students and postdocs in that lab to see if your background is suited for the research that is happening in those labs. And as well as, say you're a biotechnology or a bioengineering master student, and that that faculty member who's doing a research presentation is in your home department's graduate group. Of course, double check with your coordinator to make sure that it's all right to pursue doing research with this specific faculty member. But we actually have, a lot of our faculty have a robust lab with undergraduates, master students, PhD students, and postdocs from a variety of disciplines to really flesh out their labs and really have a wholehearted view of the research area that they are working on. So there are opportunities, yes.
You, Ashley. All right. I do not see any other questions of course, one more. Can students approach faculty members for research opportunities, even if those faculty members are not part of the home department's graduate group?
So for biotechnology, we don't maintain a graduate group. So if you're thinking about biotechnology, absolutely, you can approach any faculty member that makes sense for the biotech world. But I'll let the others answer for their specific faculty.
Yeah, in bioengineering, this can happen, but only if the student is able to find a co-mentor that would be willing to co-mentor them, that co-mentor is in the graduate group. So it would be an additional extra step if the student really wants to be in that lab. The other route is that faculty could then become a member of the graduate group if they chose to do so.
Echoing this for CBE, but if this were to occur for a student, for one of our students, and you just wanted this for maybe your CV or your resume, that would be fine. The person would need to be a member of our graduate group to use it for academic credit. But if you didn't want to use it for academic credit and you just wanted to use it as part of your experience at Penn, typically I believe that would be fine. We would double check with our graduate chair, but we have seen this happen before.
Yeah. And that was the last question to come in. So I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much to our hosts and panelists for joining us and answering all of those questions live and also in the Q&A. And one more time, I just want to say, if you do have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out. We want to make sure all of your questions are answered well before the master's application deadline. So don't hesitate to reach out or join us for a future event. Otherwise, thank you all so much for joining. Again, thank you so much, hosts and panelists, and I hope everyone has a great rest of your day.
Thank you.